Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back to the Dome Discussions Podcast, and happy Halloween to all who celebrate. Today, I'm joined by Caleb Yacarino and Drew Collins. We will be discussing the Los Angeles Rams versus New Orleans Saints Week 9 matchup, where Tyler Shough, a second-round pick out of Louisville, will finally get his first start of the season after getting thrown into the game midway against the Buccaneers. This is something that we've all been anticipating. Not sure if it was going to happen, but Kellen Moore has finally made that decision. So it's time to see what we've got in the rookie. But we'll kind of start out by going through the injury report. Wednesday, the Saints practice on Wednesday had 4 players pop up on the injury report as limited. Alvin Kamara still dealing with that ankle injury. Devin Neal is dealing with an ankle injury, which is something that we did not see on Sunday. So that is a little bit of a question mark there. Rashid Shaheed has a hip injury, and Alontae Taylor has a shoulder injury. Alontae Taylor and Rashid Shaheed suffered those injuries in the game. Rashid Shaheed's came a little bit more towards the end, but we'll have to watch those guys when it comes to Thursday's injury report. We're recording this towards the afternoon, so we'll get that later. But yeah, this is a huge game for the Saints. This is the start of a new era with Tyler Shough taking the reins as a starting quarterback. Last week, it's kind of hard to judge his performance. You know, he's thrown into the game midway through the third quarter. The Saints only had 6 total carries by their running backs on Sunday. And Tyler Shough, like I said, midway through the third quarter, had 30 passing attempts. So it's hard to kind of judge his performance, especially in that scenario, getting thrown in down 17. What are your guys' thoughts on Tyler Shough?
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, there's so many things riding on this decision. I'm shocked that it even had happened this fast. I'm not surprised that the Saints went with Tyler Shough when they did in the third quarter, because it was just, I mean, the offense looked anemic, and we are probably going to talk about the run game a little bit more, but it was just not good. And I kind of liked what I saw from Tyler Shough. Like, it really looked like his college film. It was rushing and a little worried in the pocket, throwing the ball away. Like on the fourth down, he broke 3 sacks somehow, but on the fourth down near the end of the game, broke a sack and then immediately threw it to the feet of the tight end instead of looking down the field to try to get the first down on the fourth down. Like, those are just things that happen on film. But also, he had an amazing pass, in my opinion, to Chris Olave that probably should have been caught on the sideline. It's a little close sideline, but it was a dot. It was right in his hands, 2 feet in bounds. Michael Thomas would have gotten that. And then he had the miss with Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed had a beautiful route, and he was wide open. And look, that's just with timing. There's a lot of timing issues. But again, it was his first game as the starter, and he doesn't usually practice with the starters as much during practice. So he needs to get that timing ready. But I'm just more shocked that it happened this fast. And it's just so important to the future of this team.
I'd agree with your evaluation. I did like a lot of what I saw from Shough, but there were still some of the concerns you saw from college. I thought he still looked very frantic in the pocket, even at times when there was no pressure. You saw his footwork getting sped up. You could kind of see him looking under pressure, and you just want to see that fix, which I think it will grow. This is his first time, and it's against a legit Buccaneers defense who wreaked havoc to the Saints this entire game. But I really like what Kellen Moore, after the game and throughout this week, has been saying about Tyler Shough. He's leaving nothing to speculation. Shough's the starter for the foreseeable future, barring an injury. And I really like that, because you've seen what you have from Rattler. It's not great. It's not awful. It's just kind of going to be there. It's not going to win you games. Most games, it won't lose you. We've seen him lose to the Saints a game or two, but that's besides the point. You need to see what you have in Shough. I mean, it's going to completely alter the Saints in April for the draft with what you have in Shough. If you think you can go another year of him, or you think he has a good future, that can allow you to completely build up the roster and not being forced to take a quarterback in the first round. While if he kind of falters and you don't know what you have and aren't the biggest fan, then it's going to entirely change your outlook, and you're going to have to take a quarterback. So I think this latter half of the year, or we're not even halfway, but the rest of this year is going to be a huge evaluation for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we all know how high I was on Spencer Rattler throughout the season, but it ultimately just came down to him putting the ball in harm's way far too many times over the past 2 weeks. Had 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles over the past 2 games. Really stalled his momentum that was building pretty fast. I mean, he was getting a lot of recognition from around the league, from the media, and those turnovers really became a problem. Kellen Moore said he's a really special person. His preparation has been very consistent, but the turnovers have been unfortunate, and the Saints have to do a better job at protecting the football. Spencer Rattler, through his 8 games, completed 174 of 256 passes, but through 8 touchdowns, but also through 5 interceptions with 4 fumbles. So clearly, when you're 1-13 as a starter, and the Saints are currently sitting at 1-7, last in the NFC South, in prime position to have the number 1 pick in next year's draft, it looks like it's time to make a change, especially when you have a quarterback that you took at a pretty high value pick at pick 40. You have to see what you have in him. Like Drew said, there is a possibility that you have to go out and get another one early next year. So you do have to find out. But Tyler Shough, this is going to be a huge task for him against the Rams defense. The Rams defense is second in the league with 26 sacks behind just the Denver Broncos 36. Byron Young has 10 sacks. He's second in the league. And Jared Verse has a team-high 38 pressures with 4 sacks and a 90.1 overall PFF grade. That pass rush it's fierce. It's probably as fierce as the Giants who we saw earlier this year. And look, the Saints handled the Giants very well. They ended up winning that game, didn't allow a single sack. But I don't know if that'll be the same scenario here against the Rams. The Rams have looked really good this season, and we've seen throughout the offseason program and throughout his time in college, Tyler Shough sometimes would tuck and run prematurely without going through his progressions. That's something that we're going to be watching for on Sunday. This is going to be a very big challenge for him. He actually noted it himself, said that this is probably one of the best pass rushes in the league and that he is looking forward to the challenge. He knows he's going to make mistakes and that this is a learning experience from him. And look, I think that's fair. That's a fair statement to make. His first start coming up against one of the best defenses in the league. You can only ask for so much from the rookie, but I do expect him to come out slinging it. Obviously, there's no questioning his arm talent. He's going to take shots downfield. It's just how he can handle that pressure.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things going back to the game that I forgot to mention with Tyler Shough was that he really targeted down the field throws, and it felt like he was moving the ball down the field, which besides accuracy issues and now turnover issues, the other problem with Spencer Rattler this season was pushing the ball down the field. It felt like he would throw checkdowns way too early or just not look at the rest of the field and throw a check down. I mean, there was one play during the game. I tweeted it out when it happened because I was like, did I just see a wide open wide receiver in the middle of the field? And it was a thrown ball out of bounds to Spencer Rattler or to Chris Olave. And then I watched the replay on film and Juwan Johnson was screaming open down the middle, would have been a touchdown walk-in, wide open. And instead, Spencer Rattler didn't even look that way, felt rushed when there was zero pressure and threw the ball. That was the issues that we were dealing with. But with Tyler Shough, now it feels like he's actually ready to throw down the field. And then in regard something you brought up, Nick, when talking about turnovers and how that could happen against the Rams and even teams moving forward. We need to change now our kind of evaluation of the quarterback. This season with Spencer Rattler, it was do not turn the ball over, and we want you to improve on the things we saw before. With Tyler Shough, it's show us you're a starter, but we kind of don't care if you turn the ball over too much. Don't throw 8 interceptions a game, an insane amount, but if you throw an ugly interception here or there, that's fine. That's the reason why he was close in the evaluation during preseason when he threw a horrible interception that resulted in, I think, a pick 6. Now our evaluation is going to change. Look, Tyler Shough's going to learn, and these are the mistakes he's going to learn from. But now we can evaluate and see, okay, that's a rookie mistake. That's something he can build upon. We just need to see the little things that okay, you are leading this team, you are making winning plays, and you can run the offense. That's how I think he can at least secure the job for the future. But against the Rams, it's going to be a hard one.
Mm-hmm. I love what you just said because it will be a lot different For me, I'm expecting Shough to make mistakes. Like it's irrational to go into this game expecting him to have a perfect passer rating, not be affected by the pressure, make all the correct reads, and do all that. He's a rookie quarterback who has struggled with that in the past. Don't expect that. Don't expect him to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of areas where you say, man, that was not good. And I think the main goal for the rest of the season should be to see if those areas improve. And the goal should be we're going to see a lot of struggles right now in this week. I think it's week 9. But in week 17, you want to see him eliminate those and still not be perfect, but make a lot better decisions, make a lot better throws. So I think it kind of changes from the win-loss to results that we see. We say that going into the year. This season isn't defined by wins and losses, and that's kind of exemplified right now.
Yeah, and we saw on Tyler Shough's lone interception against the Buccaneers, it was right in Chris Olave's hands, just simply ripped out by Antoine Winfield. You can't blame that on Tyler Shough. So I don't put that on him whatsoever. He said his mindset is to just go out there and attack no matter what. So that's great to hear from him, especially because we've seen Spencer Rattler go for more of those checkdowns, like you were saying, Caleb. And yeah, maybe this is the perfect time for Kellen Moore to embrace that developmental future that he was talking about last week. You're going to make mistakes now. At first, you went out with the guy who you thought would win you the most games, make you guys look more competitive. Now you're putting a guy in who can create you a spark. You know that you're taking a risk there. So maybe it's time. Maybe now we start seeing more of those young guys that we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. Maybe this is the start of embracing that youth movement around the whole entire team and not just the secondary, which they've done. But yeah, we'll kind of transition that into something else. We'll transition that into positives from the game. I do want to stick on the defense. Chase Young. I want to talk about Chase Young. He has been outstanding through 3 games. He's really living up to that $51 million extension against Tampa Bay, had his 5th career multi-sack game, recorded 3 total pressures, 3 stops, 2 sacks, and a tackle, while also forcing and recovering a fumble on Baker Mayfield. He earned a team-high 86.8 overall grade and a 92.3 pass rush grade. He's really came out with a fire. Through just 3 games, he ranks, I believe, 5th on the team in pressures with 11, 2nd in sacks with 3, and leads the NFL in pass rush productivity over the last 3 weeks with a score of 14.9. Pass rush productivity is a metric that combines sacks, hits, and hurries based on how many times a player rushes the passer. And Young also has a 21.3% pass rush win rate, which ties Micah Parsons and Danielle Hunter for 10th best in the league. So he has clearly made an impact since stepping on the field. Also has 7 stops and 2 passes batted at the line of scrimmage. Against the Bears, it looked like he was going to take off for 2 pick sixes. So he's really just came out a completely different person as he was last season. Obviously, we know he was 6th in the league in pressures last year with 73, but only had 5.5 sacks. And you can tell that Chase Young he's getting to the quarterback more than he did last year. I mean, that's just clear as day. So hopefully he can keep building off this momentum. I believe he has a 90.5 overall grade through 3 games. He's really been stellar for the Saints and has bolstered this defensive line immensely, especially with Carl Granderson's momentum falling off. He hasn't had a sack since week 4, so it's good to see Chase Young getting productive.
Yeah, and I just had an interesting thought. Like, with how good Chase Young has been playing, it kind of shows how good of a coach Mike Vrabel is, because I think Chase Young has played 3 games this season. It's been Patriots, Bears, and Bucks. He just played. The one game that he didn't have, like, he not struggled, he still made plays, but like had his worst game was against the Patriots, where they chipped him every play.
Yep.
Every time he was on the field, they stopped him from actually doing anything on pass rush. But against the Bears and the Bucks, they didn't do that. They said, no, we trust our tackle, which was the wrong decision. And the Patriots offense was amazing against the Saints. The Bears and Bucks offense struggled, not struggled, they still had fine games, but struggled in regards to what other teams have done this season against the Saints. And that kind of just shows how good of a coach Mike Vrabel is. But I'll get away from that for a second and just talk about Chase Young. He's having such a good season so far. And it's kind of also like comparing how bad the pass rush was for the Saints before he came back from injury and how good it was when he came back is something that cannot be understated. And like, there's a chance he is the best Saints player right now. Like, he has single-handedly improved the Saints' pass defense because the fact he's getting pressure is taking pressure, no pun intended, off of the cornerbacks who had been struggling. And now we look at, oh, Kool-Aid McKinstry had a great game last game. Oh, well, Alante Taylor has improved this year. Like, we are saying they're improving, but it's really because of Chase Young getting to the quarterback. And the fact he's doing it where it's like there's plays that Chase Young gets pressure and then Brian Brzee is the one to get pressure, but the other edge rushers not. And it's kind of like you just see the comparison right now. It's the reason why I think Carl Granderson needs to be moved at the trade deadline. The reason why I think edge rusher is the biggest need going into the draft. Like if you put a really, really good edge rusher next to Chase Young, the Saints might have one of the best pass rush groups in the league.
I'd agree with that. And you said there's a chance Chase Young's the best player on the team. I think he is 100%. Demario Davis is his biggest competition, and I think he's outplayed Demario so far this year for when he's been healthy. I think he's had a huge impact, and it's really good to see that. But I want to move on to another winner from the game for me, and that's Kool-Aid McKinstry. I feel like this year it's been a roller coaster for Kool-Aid. There's been peaks, there's been valleys. You've seen him struggle immensely to start the year, bounce back against the Giants, have a couple of good games and a bad game, I believe, against the Patriots. So this game was pretty big for him, and he had a great showing, especially in the red zone. He had back-to-back plays where he just had great pass breakups. Yeah, should he have intercepted it? Probably. But he's at least breaking it up, and that's exactly what you want to see. He needs to keep stacking these games just to get his confidence back up, because this evaluation this season is huge for him as well. He went into the year everyone's saying he's the clear number one cornerback. No other one's going to be there. And so far, I guess that he's still been, but he needs more performances like these to define himself and not to make cornerback such an area of need for the draft, for the offseason, so the Saints don't have to address it. They can feel fine if they have Kool-Aid. But he still needs to do that. He needs to have a strong rest of the year, so we'll see how this game can kind of carry momentum.
Yeah, and he's going to have a big task on his hands this week as Puka Nacua plans to return from his ankle injury. Starting tackle for the Rams, Rob Havenstein, also plans to return from his injury as well. But sticking on the trend of wide receivers, I do want to talk about Devon Vele. This was finally a week that he was getting more involved. Logged a season-high 37 snaps, played 51% of the offensive snaps, had 5 targets, including a first down on his lone reception of the day. I feel like with the Rams having such a weak cornerback room, they just went out and traded for former Tennessee Titans cornerback Roger McCreary. They have a great safety duo with Cam Kitchens, and I can't remember exactly who the other one is, but pretty good safety duo.
Is it Kamara?
I'll check it up. But yeah, this is definitely a game for Devon Vele to get involved. Finally, he was. Yeah, I'm gonna look because that's
why did I think of him? He's in college.
Quentin Lake, maybe. I think it's Quentin Lake. Cam Curl. It's Cam Curl.
Okay.
Cam Curl?
It's Cam Curl. Cam Curl has been outstanding to start the year. But yeah, the Rams secondary is very weak this year, and that is an area where the Saints need to target. Chris Olave needs a bounce back game. Rashid Shaheed had 2 fumbles against the Buccaneers. That needs to clean up, especially with the trade rumors surrounding him and Brandon Cooks right now, because it does look like the Chris Olave rumors have settled down a good bit. I feel like the Chris Olave is probably closer to an extension with the Saints than he is to being traded. But Brandon Cooks and Rashid Shaheed, the interest keeps picking up for those two. Denver Broncos, Buffalo Bills, Pittsburgh Steelers, all rumored to have interest in those guys. This is a game, if they want to make their trade value a little bit better for the Saints, then you have to go out and show it against the Rams' weak secondary. And Devon Vele, like we said, he's needed to get involved for a while now. And last week they finally started throwing him the ball. That could be one of Tyler Shuck's best friends to start his first career start.
Yeah, and the biggest tell, because, I mean, again, the trade deadline's looming. There's so many trade options for the Saints this year. The biggest tell, because as you said earlier, she is on the injury report with it didn't look like a good injury at the end of the game. And also shouldn't have been playing at the end of the game. That injury shouldn't have happened. And how many times have we seen that with Saints? If the Saints are careful with Rashid Shaheed and he is injured and they don't want to play him, I truly think that means he's getting traded, and that's just them not risking it. And it's one of those things where because they don't want him to be injured and they can't trade him. But yeah, like you were saying with the Saints wide receivers this game, it's going to be very interesting because I think Vele, as you said, is going to have a large role. I think Chris Olave is going to have his normal role, which is nice, but also I can't wait to see him with Tyler Shough because let's be real, this is our current future. This is the current future of the Saints. If there was two players that I'm like, okay, they're going to be on this team in 4 years, like it could be Tyler Shough and Chris Olave if Tyler Shough proves he could be a starter. So really seeing that chemistry built because Olave's chemistry with the recent quarterbacks the Saints have had has not been great. I mean, with Derek Carr, there were so many missed time throws. With Spencer Rattler, there's missed time throws. Like there has been chemistry issues, so it'd be wonderful to see chemistry built between them. But I think, as you said, Bailey's going to have a big role. And then with Brandon Cooks, it's very interesting because I feel like he's honestly been one of the most secured like wide receivers the Saints have had this season. Like he has made some in traffic contested catches that a lot of the receivers on the team wouldn't make, and he makes them. And I liked that he was getting playing time. If Devon Bailey wasn't on the roster, I would have liked his playing time. But because Devon Bailey has been on the roster and it's been like, okay, it's Brandon Cooks or Devon Bailey, that's one of the reasons why I wanted Cooks' snaps to go down. But like he's been one of the best wide receivers on the team, honestly, this year. And with a veteran presence, like it was nice. But if a team is offering a 5th-round pick or something, or fourth would be amazing, but 5th-round pick, you're running with that. You're running away with that. That's a trade to do. So it's gonna be very interesting going to this game with the trade rumors looming. Like it won't be during the MLB season when they trade a player and they have to take him off the field. But there's just little things you have to watch out for. It's gonna be fun.
This is going to be a big week to see who the trade deadline's Tuesday, right before that. So we're going to see there are so many players on the Saints that have been in rumors, but we're going to see which ones are just smoke and which ones actually have some fuel to the fire. So I'm very excited to see that. I mean, there's probably, if you count 8 players at least who at least have been mentioned in trades. So we're going to really see a lot this weekend. We'll see how much the Saints get for return from them or how active they are, because in past seasons, they've been in a very awkward spot where they weren't doing really anything during the trade deadline. This year, I expect that to be very different, but we'll still see with Mickey Loomis. You could see him not wanting to still think that they have a chance in the NFC South, which no, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to go back to something Caleb was saying when he was talking about how we expected a big workload for Devon Bailey after the past couple of weeks. We also expected a big, heavy workload for Devin Neal, who Devin Neal didn't log a single carry on Sunday. It was not something you wanted to see. I mentioned it earlier. Excuse me. The Saints running backs combined for just 6 carries. Alvin Kamara had 3 carries for 12 yards and then didn't get another carry for 27 snaps. The Saints finished the day with, like I said, 6 carries, but combined 92 rushing yards over the past 2 games. That is not fathomable. You can't do that. Like you're not going to be able to open up the passing game. You're not going to be able to play from behind like you have been. All that stuff. It all has an effect. You have to establish that run game, and especially against a defense like the Rams, you have to be able to establish the run. Saints haven't had a 30-plus yard rush in a whole year. Only 2 since 2022, and they both came in the same game. You have to establish the run. This has been a very big hole for the Saints offense. And look, this is probably the most underutilized we've ever seen Alvin Kamara in this offense. And that was not something we expected heading into the season with Kellen Moore and how he uses his playmakers. It seems like the past 2 years, the Saints have brought in some really smart offensive-minded coaches that we expected to have a role filled out for Alvin Kamara, and that just hasn't been the case.
Yeah, and it's horrible to say because Alvin Kamara is one of my favorite players of all time. But I think it's a mix of it has to do a little bit with Alvin Kamara's play kind of going down. Like it sucks to say, but there has been a true fall off where Alvin Kamara just doesn't look like how he used to be. And we saw when he was comparing Kendry Miller and Alvin Kamara, like Kendry Miller looks like the more energetic running back, but that's just a young running back versus an old running back. And that's why running back age is so important, because that happens. Not everyone is like Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's not doing well or as good this season. Like that, it happens. The fall off is true. So it's I think it has to do with that, but the fact that one of the scariest things in a new head coach this season is regression, and this past game showed regression, which is very scary. It felt like Arizona Cardinals week 1, where we fully complained about the Saints going away from the run, but it was way worse somehow. Um, how many 6 runs against the Bucks? How many runs were there?
6
6? That's insane.
by
That
non
should
quarterbacks.
okay. Well, still should never happen. That's insane. And it wasn't even like you were down by that much. Like, and also it wasn't like the Bucks were destroying you in the run game. And the fact that, oh my God, the fact that, and I know Drew's going to get to it, but the fact that you have Devin Neal, who probably fits your scheme better than any running back on the roster, and you don't run it to him is insane to me. It is it's a disservice to the team. I have gripes with Kellen Moore. Do I think the quarterback play has definitely hurt the view on him? 100%. I think he's calling great games, and I think there are open receivers on almost every play. But my biggest gripe is the running game, because how do you not run the ball to Devin Neal? That is like, that is a losing play. That is something you're doing to tank on teams. Like, that's bad. That should never happen again. If Devin Neal doesn't get at least 5 carries, that's not a lot. But if he doesn't get 5 carries against the Rams, and the Rams' run defense is good, their defensive line is good. But if he does, I don't care. You need to settle Tyler Shough. You need to let him get calm. If Devin Neal doesn't get at least 5 carries, that's horrible. That's one of those things. That's one of those things that people start collecting as a fireball offense.
Caleb said it was a disservice to the team. It's a disservice to humanity that they're not able to watch it. It is unfathomable to me how for the past 2 weeks you've had 92 rushing yards when you have future Hall of Famer Devin Neal on your roster. I just don't get Kellen Moore. He loves to run the ball. He loves to do that. He's shown it before. And then this year he's just gone completely away from it, especially since you have 2 young quarterbacks. It's not like you have Jalen Hurts or someone who can throw the ball well. Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shough haven't been able to show the ability that they can consistently beat a defense with their arm. So it better improve this week against the Rams. I'd expect it to. I think Kellen Moore went back into the locker room after the game, watched the film, and realized that he needs to run the ball more, or at least I'm hoping he did. Because if the run game continues like this, it's going to be a huge talking point in the national media on why they're not getting their playmakers the ball.
Yeah, and he actually spoke on it a couple of days ago, said he would have loved to have run the ball a bit more, but the flow of the game, the lack of flow, made it a bit challenging. But I'd argue that would have helped with the flow of the game.
100%.
Yeah, like I said, Alvin Kamara had 3 carries for 12 yards, didn't get another carry for 27 snaps. That's not on the lack of flow of the game. That's play calling. You need to be able to establish that run. You know how important establishing the run can be, and it really opens up the entire offense. So, and especially with 2 young quarterbacks, you need that. You need that cushion there for them. I want to talk about one more thing before we go into trivia. I pulled up this stat. Yeah, the Saints punted at the 40-yard line, around the 40-yard line, instead of kicking a 59-yard field goal with Blake Grupe. That's what I was talking about last week when I said that if the Saints trotted Blake Grupe out for a 60-yard field goal, that I would be so unconfident in that decision. And it looks like Kellen Moore doesn't even believe that he's confident enough to take him out there for that opportunity in the first place. So I think the change needs to happen. I know he didn't miss a kick, but you can't have that much lack of trust in your kicker. You have to have a guy that you can trust to go out there and get you points when you need them.
And it just goes back to my whole point, with this season, that a lot of the struggles from the coaches on the team, because the coaches get a lot of blame for a lot of the issues, and I'm talking about Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore. They get a lot of blame for a lot of the issues. I really think just the personnel of this team is not what the coaches want. And I'll get to kickers on the topic in a second, but even going back to the running backs and offensive linemen, Cesar Ruiz is a part of trade rumors for a reason. He does not fit this run game. There's a reason the Saints run blocking is horrible this year. And I would say Trevor Penning fits well in this scheme. And it's his first year at guard, so I understand the struggles. And I don't know. Look, the Saints could probably bring him back this offseason just in case on a cheap deal. But like, it's a reason why Cesar Ruiz is a part of trade deals. It's a reason why Alvin Kamara is struggling. It's a reason why we want to see Devin Neal run the ball. It's because those are the personnel changes that need to happen for the offensive scheme to work. And I just look back in 2023, like when you look at that was probably in 2023 when Kellen Moore was with the Chargers as their offense coordinator. That was probably the worst his offense has looked in the league. His running back was an old Austin Eckler and Joshua Kelly. So not a great running back room. He had Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas, and he had Saquon Barkley with the Eagles. And this year, he has another struggling running back room, which honestly could be a little comparison to that 2023 Chargers room. There's a personnel issue here. There's a reason why the offense is struggling at times, combined with all the other issues. And to the kicker, I just don't think they trust anyone on the roster. And I don't think not that they care enough, because the coaches obviously care, but like they don't want to just like have this, like bring in another kicker and it not working, bring in another kicker and it not working for some reason. I don't know why. But the worst part was the comparison to the Bucs kicker. He was hitting everything. It was horrible because the only reason they were in the game was the Bucs kicker was hitting everything. And like, it's just the comparison and the fact they didn't kick the ball was just like, it was like, okay, why aren't you making a change? Like, this is bad. Are you that's like tanking moves in front of us. I saw when the Pelicans were tanking for Zion, they called a timeout with 0 timeouts left, like up by 2 or up by 1, and to tank the game. Like, I've seen tanking before, and it just feels like a tanking situation, which is like, I doubt it. I really doubt it is, but it just looks like it. I hate it.
Mm-hmm. All I gotta say on the topic is Nick's prediction of Blake Groupie All Pros less
We gotta stop
likely
talking
every week.
about that.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Week. Bring it up every week.
Every time he doesn't have a great game, we're bringing it up.
It's as bad as the Saints not running Devin Neal.
It is. I'll take that one to the chin. I do want to touch on something you said, Caleb, regarding the kicker of the Buccaneers, Chase McLaughlin, keeping them in the game. He actually won Special Teams Player of the Week. But that's more of a credit to the Saints defense. The Saints defense were outstanding on Sunday against the Buccaneers. Sunday was the first game this season that they held their opponent scoreless in the first quarter. They were really in it throughout the whole game until they eventually got tired because the offense wasn't producing. That's not on the defense. I think the defense they did more than you could have asked against Baker Mayfield, the MVP candidate, and Emeka Egbuka, the Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. That's an offense that gives a lot of teams trouble, and they put up a lot of points this season as well. So the defense really exceeded my expectations. I put that more on the offense's lack of production because, like you said, they were in the game because of their kicker. They could not get past the Saints defense. The Saints had 2 goal line stands. You rarely see that in today's NFL. So, credit to the Saints defense. But we'll kind of transition that into our trivia segment for today. I think Drew has the player, so I'll kind of let him take it from here.
I've got 2 players. One, I think you'll get pretty quickly. The other, I think the years will help a lot, but that one could take a little longer. So the first player, Saints, Jets, Texans, Bengals.
Sheldon Rankin.
Yep. I figured that one would be pretty quick, so I want to get another one. That one was instant. Okay, we'll send this one. Falcons, Lions, Saints, Raiders.
Ooh.
Falcons, Lions, Saints, Raiders.
Falcons first.
Saints, Raiders.
Okay, years.
You want years on this one? Okay. Falcons 2013 to 2019. Lions 2020. Saints 2021. Raiders 2021. Wasn't on the Saints for long, but I think you guys will know this name.
Should.
He was on the Falcons for a while. Whoa.
He's known for the Falcons, yeah.
Brian Edwards.
Nope.
What? Oh,
that was a good one. You know, that's a really good one.
Started with the Raiders. I shouldn't have known that one. You got me stumped on this one.
I thought this one was tougher. You want position or?
Is it a defensive back?
Yep.
Oh, I knew it.
Mm-hmm. I remember this guy for a lot of Madden cards. He always had.
No.
Eric Harris.
Nope.
That's another Falcons, Raiders, Saints connection.
Yeah. Do you want me to give you
I'm getting
college or what do
so
you
mad
want
because I
for?
think I
Is it
know.
a corner or a safety?
It's a corner.
Okay, good. I was
Okay.
banking on corner.
Mm-hmm. He's a pretty well. I think he made. Let me look. He made.
Oh.
2020.
He made a Pro Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a Pro Bowler. One Pro Bowl on the
I
Falcons.
feel like I know, which is making me angry because I can't think.
Yeah, you know this player. I remember they had an NFL Combine card a couple years ago in Madden. That was really
Oh,
good.
no.
Oh,
Okay. Do college.
Pro Bowl corner.
College Washington. I don't know if
Oh my
that'll help much. I thought it
God,
would
but I
have.
think it does.
You know, yeah. This is a guy everyone knew, but you don't think of a lot.
Oh, it's gonna make me so angry.
It's gonna make me mad. What
Mhm.
team? He was on the Falcons when he was a Pro Bowler.
Falcons, yep, Falcons Pro Bowler. He made
What
the
year?
Pro Bowl in 2015.
I try to erase all Falcons from my memory.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's my excuse for this one.
Man.
He had a pass deflection while in New Orleans.
Yeah,
3
pass
tackles.
deflection.
I mean, yeah, I just looked at the stats for it.
Oh.
Trying to think of other hints I could give you.
Raiders.
Okay,
Raiders.
initials.
Yeah, initials. I'll
Initials?
get it.
Just first one or both?
Both.
Both first and last. DT.
It's
D-
Desmond Trufant.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
It's Desmond Trufant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware he made a Pro Bowl.
Same.
I was just looking through and
That's
I saw
a good one.
him.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
I didn't know he went to the Raiders either. I would not have known that. I was
Yeah, I
banking.
didn't know he went to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm. Where's his? I'm trying to look for his Madden card because I
It's a good
remember
one.
he had a 95 Combine Madden card that had like boosted speed. There it is, 94. Yeah, 94 cornerback, 93 speed.
Is it Madden
94
23?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah, that was my ultimate team year.
because he had like boosted speed on it, so it was like a 6'1" corner. Used that card a bit.
I'm disgusted.
That was a very good one. But I guess we will kind of go into our last segment from that one into bold predictions and game picks. I will start since two of the guys I have already talked about today. I think Chase Young logs his sixth multi-set game of his career. Like we said, he's been dominant this year, and he's got an returning from injury tackle going up against Rob Havenstein. So maybe he'll be able to take advantage of him in some areas. So I do think Chase Young comes out with another strong performance. I also have Devon Bailey hauling in his second touchdown as a Saint. Had his first against the Niners in week 2. Been since then, since he's really been able to get that opportunity in the red zone. We saw, I think it was against the Giants when he had that reception that got brought into the 5 and called back from a penalty. I'm not sure against who it was, but he's had opportunities, just not in the red zone. And when you're he's 6'5", right? When you're 6'5" or 6'4", you have to be able to have those opportunities in the red zone, especially when you've got guys like Jawan Johnson dropping passes left and right. It's time for Devon Bailey to be given that short yardage red zone workload, and I think this week he does with Tyler Shough in charge. So I do have him having another touchdown. And then I also have Kool-Aid McKinstry snagging his third career interception. Had 2 against the Giants, first 2 against the Giants of his career. And I believe that he'll do it again this week. Drew mentioned he had his hands on 2 of them last week, probably could have pulled them down, but I think he does this week. I think that got under his skin a little bit. You saw him clapping his hands afterwards in frustration. So I do think he snags one this week. But for my final score prediction, I'm going to have to go Rams 26, Saints 13. I do think the Saints can get a touchdown, but I don't think their offense will be very productive. Obviously, with a rookie starting in his first ever career start and against this fierce pass rush. And obviously, with the Rams getting Puka Nacua back, I expect their offense to get back in a roll. Devontae Adams has taken on that huge workload since Puka Nacua has been out. Tutu Atwell's had some flashes. Tyler Higbee as well. So the Saints have some weapons to watch out for.
God, you just naming the wide receivers that the Rams have remind me how much of a mismatch this is because Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua are contested catch wide receivers against the Saints' shorter cornerback room. Just need to get that out there. So I have 3 bold predictions. One of them is very bold. The other 2 are not really and more realistic. But one is Brian Brzee gets sacked. I think this is a game that he has a really good game, and I think he gets sacked. It went away, but I hope I remember. My other one is Tyler Shough throws 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception. I think that's where those numbers are going to end the game, but I think it's going to be kind of what we said. He's going to make a rookie mistake, but he's also going to throw down the field and get 2 touchdowns. And then my third one, which compared to what we've been talking about, feels like it's never going to happen, but I think the Saints run for over 20 times this game. I think they are really going to rely on the run this game because I know Kellen Moore knows how much pressure is going to be on Tyler Shough and how much he needs to calm him down with how jittery he also gets. So I think the Saints are really going to go to that. My final score, no way I'm picking the Saints to win this game. Sorry. This has been a game to watch for 3 years. One, when Dennis Allen went there and got destroyed. It was offense versus defense and got destroyed. I thought it was going to be one last year, but then Dennis Allen got fired. And this year it's going to be Sean McVay's offense versus Kellen Moore's offense. I think it's going to be a fun game, but no way I could choose the Saints to win. I think the game's going to end 25-17. I think it's not going to go down to it could go down to the wire. I think it's going to be like last drive. Saints have the ball, trying to get down the field, down by 8. But I think the Saints get 2 touchdowns. The pick 6 is like, I could be a pick 6. That's the change of the game, but I think it's going to be pretty close.
Mm-hmm. I'll keep the trend going, and I've got 3 bold predictions as well. The first one is that Tyler Shough completes 2 50-plus yard passes. If he has the time, the Rams have a depleted secondary, and I think he's going to capitalize by chucking it deep to Olave and Shaheed. Second one, I got to keep it going. Devin Neal, 50-plus rushing yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions this time. He had 2 last time. I'm going up. I think Devin Neal's finally going to be getting involved a lot more this game, and I'm hoping to see that. And then it's Halloween. The Rams have 2 of the most frightening players in the league, Puka Nacua and Jared Verse, in my opinion. I think Puka Nacua is going to have 13 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And I think Jared Verse is going to have a sack against the Saints. I think it's a frightening weekend. I think both those are going to scare the Saints offense. Then final score prediction, similar ways. I don't see the Saints winning this game. I hope, doubt it. I think the Rams will come out 31-17 with the win.
Awesome. Well, I think that'll wrap up today's episode. I hope you guys all have a great Halloween. Be safe out there, and we will catch you guys after the Saints versus Rams matchup this Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. See ya.